Yo, yo, yo. What's good? What's good? It's Stormy B-Man, and I am back. Welcoming you to Kung Fu Film Focus for this Thursday, July 4th, 2024. That's right, it's the 4th of July. And I thought I might bring you a particular title that's a classic from the genre with fireworks. Yeah! We're going to be talking about this evening a film that is out of the Shaw Brothers library. A little bit of a classic called The Kid with the Golden Arm. Another one of the films in the series of the Venoms. Yeah, you know those guys who were noted, who came on the scene with the various Venom styles for films such as this, the Super Ninjas, the Five Deadly Venoms, the Crippled Avengers, yeah, and many more. These guys were some of the most awesome legends from the genre. And I will tell you that what set them apart was that they were all operatic performers. So they did their own stunts. They did their own athletic gymnastic moves. And in the films directed by Chang-Che, they did their own choreography, which is why so many of their battles looked so smoothly, because they knew one another like a hand and glove. They fit perfectly together. And though there were different members of the Venoms, they are all noted for being performers that you fondly remember their films. You look back on their library and it's just an amazing ensemble of guys. I'm talking about Ko Shu, Chang Shan, Lu Feng, Lo Mang, Sun Qian, and Wei Pai, who was originally one of the Venoms. Later they would be joined by the likes of Ricky Ching, who was a real standout and fit right with those guys, a Taiwan performer. Ricky Ching is one of the stars of the Chinese super ninjas. And if you ever seen the Kung Fu classic, 7 Steps of Kung Fu, that's him in there fighting the white eyebrowed villain. So the Venom mob, as they're referred to, were an ensemble of performers that they grew to cult status because of what they did. There was no one like them before, and there has not been anyone like them since. They have carved out their own niche in martial film history and should never be taken lightly. These men were so talented that their films have really stood the test of time. I mean, I can't even name all of them at this time, nor do I want to, because I can always come back and revisit the other titles. They were to be celebrated. This film had a theatrical run in Hong Kong, and it opened on the 2nd of November, 1979, and played until the 8th of November. Its original run, and it brought in 1.159 million Hong Kong dollars. Yeah. So audiences flocked to this, man. They were really ready to be entertained by these guys, and they delivered. I mean, and then some. If you all have had a chance to see a Venom film at any particular time in your venture into Kung Fu films, at least one of their films has to be a favorite of yours. It has to be. Because these men, they left their stamp, as I said. Nothing like it, man. Nothing like it before, and nothing like it since. I just enjoy the overall choreography. I took this film in just a few hours ago just to refreshing myself on it, because I hadn't watched it since last year sometime, because, you know, it's in my regular rotation of watching Kung Fu films. So, and immediately I was taken to a particular scene where Cheng Shang and Lu Feng were fighting double axes against the spear. And the martial arts choreography in that scene was so smooth. It was just amazing to sit there and watch those guys. They had trampoline stunts, gymnastic stunts, of course the weapons of double axes by Cheng Shang and Lu Feng operating that spear. To be able to put everything together as they were doing, just, it's breathtaking to sit there and watch these men perform like that. So, you know, if any of you have had a chance to watch any of their films recently, I'm sure it could have left the same type of impression on you for what they were able to do on film. So this is the film we're profiling this evening, and gladly so. You know, it's the type of martial art film that you could just sit down and watch it over and over again. Or, if you so desire, you can tune in and just watch the action scenes, because there's plenty of it, and it's pretty entertaining and breath-catching. So, you know, that's what it is. So, let's see who we got in the building this evening. I see you guys out there. Forgive me for starting a few minutes late. I had to run to the drugstore to pick up some medicine. I'm in a little bit of pain this evening, so I was like, man, I need some help. Got to get me some pain medication. So, you know, I thought I would do that. And though I was back, I had to key everything up. So, thank you for your patience and diligence in waiting for Stormy B Man to bring you some more Kung Fu film focus. Yeah. We got Shogun 76 out there. He's saying, don't worry, Sensei, we here. I hear you. The Shogun of Harlem. Good to see you back, brother. Jimmy Bernard is in the building saying, what's good, Sensei? Salute to the chat. 100. Yeah, 6 times over. That's right. Universal Truth is back with us saying, salute, Sensei, with those channel emojis. You know how I'm loving that with the channel emojis, man. Shogun says this is one of the best. It sure is. Anytime you're watching the Venoms come together, you can't go wrong with that type of entertainment. B-Mac is back with us saying, salute, Stormy B-Man. Not really a kung fu guy, but you make it sound insane. You said inside. I guess you meant insane. Okay. Hustler's Home is back with us saying, salute. My brother Healer, the teacher, is in the building saying, salute, Stormy. And Learn is back with us with the fist pound saying, salute, Stormy. And Hustler's Home says, 5 Deadly Venoms is my absolute favorite. Yeah, man. And you know what? Personally, that's not their best film, but it's a tremendous offering. And the story is so simple and basic. Now, this film that we're discussing this evening, The Kid with the Golden Arm, is one of those double-crossing, backbiting betrayal films that the plot is very convoluted, man. There's a lot going on in here, and it really takes you all over the place. And let's just say these guys are brought together to have the action scenes first and foremost, and that's the most important thing. But it has to do with some transferring of some gold and a what do they used to call them? The guys who would escorts. The escorts. They were in on a plot to steal this gold for relief. It was supposed to be for relief for a particular province. Now, the overseer of the escort service, he was in on the plot to steal the gold. And it was crazy, man. It's like I said, the plot is very convoluted. But a leader of a gang, they call them the Cheesaw Gang, and the Cheesaw Gang had a leader, and he was the youngest of their group, and he was the kid with the golden arm, Lo Mang. Now, many of you are familiar with Lo Mang because Lo Mang was one of the main villains who didn't really use weapons. He fought primarily with his fists, often using a mantis fist style or variations on a little bit of Wing Chun and fist fighting style. He was very prominent with that. And he was a muscular gentleman, wasn't big and bulky muscular like Bolo, but a little more streamlined physique of muscularity, similar to Bruce Lee, but maybe a little bit bigger in the body. But Lo Mang was always a crowd favorite. And you know, something was interesting, that most of his appearances in the Venom films, his character dies, even though he's one of the best fighters. It always happens that way. That's just like Bolo. Whenever he appeared in the films in Hong Kong, he always died. I don't know if they had a thing against the big muscular dudes because, you know, the Chinese had throughout history incurred some type of disrespect of being slight in size and demeanor, and the muscular guys on film were usually like bodyguards or baddies who protected the bosses, and maybe subliminally they would, you know, have them killed off on film. I don't know. But it was always something a little weird about the muscular dudes dying. They just did that a lot. And sometimes the skinniest, smallest, frailest dudes be the heroes, like David Chang Tai-wai. You know, David Chang, he was a small, slight guy, very skinny. The famous director Chang Che always referred to him as the Rubber Man because he could do somersaults and everything, and a lot of trampoline tricks he was very good at. And his family came from the entertainment business in China and Hong Kong. So that's where David Chang had cut his teeth. But he was not a part of the Venoms. He was actually a part of a group of men who came before the Venoms. In fact, it was he, Tai Long, Chen Kwa Tai, Chi Kwa Chung, Alexander Fuxing, and Wang Chang. Those men came before the Venoms. And eventually, when they were moving on in their contracts with the studios, there were a couple of crossover films, like 7-Man Army, where you saw some of the Venoms in there appear with them, and they were very young when they appeared in 7-Man Army. And then a few years later with films like The 10 Tigers of Kwangtung. These guys would all come together like that. So it was always something happening with Shaw Brothers, man. They had a lot going on, and it was a very rich time to be in the Kung Fu business if you were at Shaw Studios. Like I said, Chang Che was the director of this film, and we had actors like Lo Mang, being the kid with the golden arm, was the lead here, followed by Chang Sheng, and rounding out who we could talk about this evening, Lu Feng, Sun Chin, a Korean actor and Taekwondo specialist. He was always the kicking expert in these films when he appeared with the Venoms. Ko Shu, who is also known as Philip Ko or Philip Kwok. And also as a female lead in this particular film, we had Helen Poon Bing Sheung. And she had a prominent role here where she was playing someone who was trying to escort the gold and keep it safe for the province where it's supposed to be delivered. She and her husband, played by Wei Pai. Some of you may remember Wei Pai from films like The Magnificent Butcher with Sammo Hung, or The Young Master with Jackie Chan. He was in there with Jackie. And also he was in, I'm trying to think of it because I did the review of it. Forgive me, I'm drawing a mental blank right now, but a Golden Harvest production that he was in, Last Hurrah for Chivalry, there we go. And he played in there. He played a swords expert. So Wei Pai, who had a background in Wing Chun, he just didn't take off with the Venoms as much as some of the other guys, but he was still a part of that first go-round in Troop. Because if you remember him in the 5 Deadly Venoms, I think he was playing the Snake in the 5 Deadly Venoms. So rounding out the cast, in whom I'm mentioning on screen here, is Tang Xiang. Tang Xiang, he played Ironhead in here. He had some kind of device on his head, and he fought, but he used his head, and that device on his head was like it was heavy metal or something, and when he headbutted you with it, it damaged you severely. So yeah, all the cast of characters here once again, as it was always with the Venom mob, as they were lovingly referred to. This film was very action-packed, and Lo Mang at the center. Once he starts fighting, and what Chang Che used to like to do with Lo Mang is always put him in sleeveless shirts or kind of like tank top situations or whatever to show off his guns. You know what I mean? And Lo Mang, his fist fighting style on screen always looked great, and he looked powerful. When he delivered his action, it looked like he had a lot of power and strength behind what he was doing. I remember in Chinese Super Ninjas, he at the beginning of the film, when they had the two schools fighting against each other, when it was his turn to go around against the Japanese expert, the Japanese man asked him, he was like, "You don't fight with a weapon?" And he was like, "I don't need a weapon." And when they started fighting, he was dealing with old boy with his arms and his hands, man. Lo Mang was always cool. And he's still alive today. And he has played in some more recent films. He was in Donnie Yen's Yip Man 2. He played in that. He's played in a couple of other films that are more recent. He's older now. I think Lo Mang is in his mid to late 70s now. But always a great kung fu film star on screen. Always a great one. Let's see, we got a couple more comments out here in the chat. See what we got going on here. Hustler's Home says, "I love the kid with the golden arms too." He says, "I have a huge kung fu movie collection." Hustler Home. We're gonna have to compare our kung fu films. Right. Learn says, "I wonder if everyone in here knows the differences between kung fu and karate." Here we go. Man, listen. Don't come in here mentioning karate unless Stormy B-Man leads in, because Kung Fu Film Focus is definitely that. Now, when I start venturing off over into the Japanese, or Sonny Chiba in particular, or Yosaki Kurata, then we might slide in some karate, huh? But for the most part, it's Kung Fu. Even though Kurata played in a lot of Chinese Kung Fu films in the early 70s, you would have thought that man was Chinese. He played heroes and villains in Shaw Brothers Studios and some independent films, co-starring opposite the likes of Liang Xiaolong, Chun Sing, Jimmy Wong Yu. So Kurata was there, man. Meng Fei, he played opposite a lot of those stars in the early 70s, and his karate was pretty darn good. He was the head of Sonny Chiba's Japanese stunt team. Sonny Chiba had formed a stunt team similarly to what Jackie Chan did once he became a star in Hong Kong. Bruce Lee was forming his own stunt team shortly before he died. He had several guys that became noted, prominent martial art film stars through the mid to late 70s. So he had an eye for talent as well. But some of these men, I mean, this was a golden era of these men with these talents, and the Venoms stand out like, man, they are head and shoulders above anyone when you talk about ensemble films. Definitely these guys. Yeah. So, Mind of Mansa Musa is out there with us too. He says, "Salute to the wise one, the sensei." Yeah. Shogun says, "Even the magnificent ruffians, he died." Talking about Lo Mang. Yeah. Royal Constrictor is out there with his 100. And Shogun says, "Oh boy got hit with the sand palm." Learn is laughing. And Tay Tay, the real queen of MMA and combat talk, is in the building saying, "Hey Sifu," and "Hey chat." What's good with you, Tay Tay? Hope you're doing okay. Yeah, so. But this film was very action-packed, man. Like I said, if you haven't seen it, it's highly recommended. Highly recommended. Here's another shot where we get to see Lo Mang in there with Philip Koshu, and he's fighting against a sword, and you can see Philip has that the Chinese broadsword with the rings on it. But Golden Arm is fending off his attack with his golden arms. He had impenetrable, invulnerable arms, so he could take the blows against his forearms and his biceps, you couldn't cut him. You couldn't cut to the bone. His skin was invincible. So he had a little bit of that Golden Bell armor thing going on when he was battling. So, but to take it back to what we're talking about with the film, the plot, like I said, very convoluted, but there's a simple one. It says the government asked Yang Hu-young, who is Sun Chin, to escort a cargo of gold to a famine-stricken area. The vicious Chi-Sha gang announces their intention to hijack it by killing one of Yang's employees. Yang describes to his men the Chi-Sha's 4 chiefs, each of whom has mastered a style of fighting: Golden Arm, Lo Mang; Silver Spear, Lu Feng; Iron Robe, Wang Lung Wei; and Brass Head, Yang Shan, to protect the gold. Yang hires swordsman Li Chen Ming, who is Wei Pai, and Ming's girlfriend, Miss Leong Feng, which is Helen Poon. Long Axe Yang Ju is Chang Shang. And Shu Pei Shang. And Short Axe Fang Shi is Chang Shang. And the drunken master agent Hai Tao is Ko Shu. On their way to meet with Yang, Long and Short Axe encounter 7 Hooks gang and proceed to fight and kill 3 gang members each. Being competitive fighters, neither wants to kill more than the other, so they kill the last gang member together. Before meeting with Yang, Ling encounters Iron Robe. Hai Chao appears and defeats her attackers, though he disappears once again before she can thank him. When Ling meets with Ming at a winery, the employees, which are Silver Spear, Brass Head, and several Chi-Sha gang members in disguise, they attack them. Ming is poisoned by sand palm before they flee. Despite the commotion, Hai Chao enters and demands service. After defeating several gang members, he identifies the disguised owner and manager as Silver Spear and Brass Head. After they pull off their disguises, they invite Hai Chao to join their gang. When he refuses, they allow him to leave peacefully, but still hoping to recruit him. Now, the interesting thing about that, when they say that Wei Pai was defeated, that's where that's where Shogun says, "Oh boy, got hit with the sand palm." Yeah, man. These movies are something else, though. And later in the film, we find out that the leader of the escort group, Sun Chin, the Korean Taekwondo expert who does all the kicking, man, he's got a twin brother, and they both diabolical brothers. They plotted the whole thing, and so everything gets turned on his head. But these two guys, well, there's one guy playing 2 parts, but they twin brothers, and they reveal themselves at the end, and everybody's looking around like, what? I always have said, if you want to see some real double crossing and backbiting, watch one of these Chinese kung fu films or a Chinese gangster film. Man, they know how to backbite and betray like no other, man. Those dudes are ruthless when it comes down to it. They are some of the most ruthless double crossers there are. Learn says, I don't recall seeing this one, but there's a tea house fight scene in this one as well. Well, listen, you know what I've said about the tea house scenes, right? If they're ever in a tea house or an inn, it's going down. It's going down. It's as simple as that. Royal Constrictor says, long live the Poison Clan. Yeah, man. Yeah. But these films, hey, listen, man. I love this film. Just like all of the Venom films, you know, they're just great. I really like House of Traps. That's one of my favorites of theirs too. House of Traps is like really a crazy one, man. It a lot of stuff going on in House of Traps. But yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Just to mention some of these Venoms films, man, check this out. They appeared in this film: Seven Man Army, Shaolin Temple, the Naval Commandos, the Brave Archers series, Five Deadly Venoms, the Invincible Shaolin, the Cripple Avengers, Shaolin Rescuers, Shaolin Daredevils, 10 Tigers from Kwangtung, 2 Champions of Shaolin, Flag of Iron, the Rebel Intruders, Sword Stained with Royal Blood, the Masked Avengers, House of Traps, 5 Element Ninjas, Ode to Gallantry, and the Shanghai 13. Man, that's a lot of movies, bro. These guys were really, you know, doing their thing. And Chang-Chi directed all of those films. So Chang-Chi, you know, the famous legendary Shaw Brothers director and the godfather of Kung Fu films, he was amazing that he had such a extensive library of talent. I mean, he started off with Jimmy Wong Yu and ended up with the Venoms. Just a total amazing filmography, man. A total amazing filmography. Anybody got something else to say about these guys or this film in particular? It's an amazing movie. It's amazing. Chat is kind of quiet. What's going on? Learn says, just enjoying the vibes. Man, Just 3T, here we go, says most of these characters are in a video game called Shaolin versus Wu-Tang. You know what? A lot of the video games are based on Kung Fu films, man. Guys who became writers and designers of video games, they decided to take what they had learned watching Kung Fu films growing up and channeled it right into the video games. You can't blame them. It's like, you know, who thought that people would catch up with it and be like, oh, this is from that movie. Yeah, one of the most popular Kung Fu tournament films was the One-Armed Boxer Part 2, aka Master of the Flying Guillotine. But there were plenty of tournament films in the early 70s, and we could thank Jimmy Wong Yu for that. Jimmy Wong Yu is the one who introduced tournament style fighting films where you could have all these different characters with different forms of fighting. And you know, Jimmy Wong Yu doesn't get enough for the contributions he made to the genre. He made some serious contributions. And we lost him, what, a little over a year, 2 years ago? But man, did he leave an impact and legacy. God dog it, man. Yeah, I'm just talking. Thank you, Learn. I was muted. I had my mic muted while I was drinking my water, and I forgot to unmute it. No, but I was saying that Rashid Rourke says, peace, my brother Stormy B, man. I've been listening while getting ready for work. And, yeah, you know what? And I was saying that these films are great, but I don't like to try to make it seem like I'm a know-it-all. I like to discuss them. That's why I ask you questions like, you got any things that you recall about this movie in particular to drive the conversation forward? Because it's not so much that there are things I can forget and be reminded of once we get to talking about it. But this film has some very good action scenes. And Koshu playing the drunk, he was one of the best out of these guys. And even though Cheng Sheng seemed like the comedic guy, a little silly sometimes, but he was one of the best also out of the Venoms. And he was very nice. They say Koshu wasn't a nice guy. He played a cool dude on film. He was probably the best actor out of the Venoms. But they say in real life, he was kind of like, you know, not that approachable. Yeah, Learn, this movie is very good. It's one of their favorites, you know, that audiences like. But when you're talking about the Venoms, the original Venoms, which is Sun Ching, Lu Feng, Lo Mang, Philip Ko, and Chang Sheng, those 5 guys right there, they are the original Venoms. And if you got a film or are about to watch a film with those 5 guys, the film is going to be damn good, because they're damn good. And like I said, they did their own choreography, and they played well off of one another. Rashid says, you reminded me of a recent conversation I had with my brothers. Do you think Shaolin Temple or 10 Tigers of Kwangtung is Kung Fu's version of the Expendables? No, I wouldn't say that. But it is kind of like their take on some old Westerns. And when you talk about old Westerns like the Magnificent Seven, Seven-Man Army, or the Naval Commandos, that's kind of like that. Shaolin Temple is an ensemble film where they took several of the men of the genre that were popular in their own films. They brought them all together. So that's like Lee Marvin's The Dirty Dozen, stuff like that. So not so much the Expendables. The Expendables is just Stallone's idea of going back and taking popular actors who are kind of gone, you know, by the wayside, their heyday, they're beyond their prime, and he brought them together. It's not the same thing, but I do understand what you're trying to say, because a collaboration with so many dudes, yeah, that's, you know, you could look at it like that. But I think more along of the Dirty Dozen, the Magnificent Seven, the Magnificent Seven Riot Again, Young Guns. Kung Fu films have more of a greater play off of American Westerns and European Westerns than they do just action films. I mean, they also have films like The Savage Five, The Five Shaolin Masters. I mean, there's so many. There's so many. You can't go wrong with those films in Hong Kong, I'm telling you. Can't go wrong. I just appreciate you guys coming out on the 4th of July, checking me out, man. If I wasn't doing this live, I'd probably be laying down trying to get some sleep. But I had put this off a couple of weeks already and was tempted to put it off again tonight because I was having this toothache that was really driving me crazy. So I said, you know what? No, I'm going to go ahead and do the show, tough it out. You see, Stormy B, man, be sacrificing for you guys. Yeah. Yeah, depending where you are, if you're on the East Coast, you're an hour ahead of me. It's not completely dark here yet. In another 15-20 minutes it'll be completely dark, and then they'll get to going crazy here. When I get off of here, I'm gonna watch me some more Kung Fu. Just 3T says, do you know the name of the film Bruce Lee did the cameo fighting the two men fighting on each other's shoulders? Well, Bruce Lee was not in a film like that, brother. But Ho Chung Tao, known as Bruce Lee, but I like to call him by his real name, Ho Chung Tao, he played in the film where Chang Sang was the villain, and he fought a couple of guys who were standing on each other's shoulders, and that film was called The Deadly Strike. Ho Chung Tao played a police inspector who rounded up a group of misfits from prison to go on a special mission with him, and their sentences would be admonished if they successful with their mission. So he got these group of criminals to go on this mission with him to take down Cheng Sing. And part of, as they went on that journey, various killers and bandits and stuff was attacking them. And it was two guys that fought on each other's shoulders that he had to fight. Yeah, The Deadly Strike is the name of that film there. Just 3T. You see, Stormy B-Man know his Kung Fu films, bro. So it wasn't Bruce Lee. It was a Bruce Lee imitator, Ho Chung Tao. Bruce Lee only did 4 films in Hong Kong of martial arts nature. The Big Boss, Fist of Fury, Way of the Dragon, and Enter the Dragon. Game of Death was incomplete. And that was it. That's like the brother Willie Lowe. Shout out to Willie Lowe. He asked me a few weeks ago, hey Stormy, what's the name of that Kung Fu movie where these guys was doing such and such and such? I was like, oh yeah, that's whatever, you know, whatever the title was. And he was like, thank you, man. I was trying to figure out that movie. You know, you guys ask me these questions about Kung Fu films. And I just like, oh yeah, that's so-and-so. Oh, that movie, you know. I'm sorry. It makes me think about my brother, dearly departed Curtis Anderson, aka Kurt Sugar. He loved Kung Fu films too. And you know, Kurt was like an encyclopedia when it came to boxing, remembering dates and stuff and records, stuff like that, right? And Kurt and I, we had begun to become close friends, and we would be talking about Kung Fu films, right? And, you know, I admire Kurt's memory of the fights and dates and records, right? I'm like, damn, Kurt, you awesome with that, man. I can't mess with it. He's like, no, but you awesome with that Kung Fu. He was like, man, you don't know. I just tried to, you know, trip you up by asking you a couple of little questions and stuff. And he was like, this is kind of stuff that only the top dudes I know that know Kung Fu films know this stuff. And he was like, you answer that stuff like before I could finish answering the question. Kurt was like, you are the sensei of Kung Fu films. I said, damn, I don't know him like that, Kurt. He was like, yes, you do. But, you know, it's funny. We played off of each other because he had that boxing knowledge like that. I have some Kung Fu film knowledge. But we used to love to interact and talk about that stuff. We would find ourselves in great conversations, man. And Scrapbook would just be looking at us like, damn. But man, you know, who knew? When I was a little boy, my dad used to take me to see these movies like every Friday or Saturday night, either at the movie theater or a drive-in. And I watched so many films, man. It's like that stuff just stuck with me. Kung Fu films and fighting. When I was a kid, I absorbed that stuff like a sponge. That's why I could remember it so well. You know how kids get introduced to the wrong things and they get off track. I never knew that like 40 years later, 45 years later, I'd be online talking about these films and stuff that I grew up watching and going to the movies and stuff. My woman even told me once, hey, you watch too many of them damn things. I'm like, I like my Kung Fu movies, man. I like them. So, Kung Fu, man, it's like, yeah. J-Man is out there. What's happening? This little screenshot I put up here, Sun Chin playing both the twin brothers. They thought they was talking to one dude. It was the other dude. It was like, then the twin brother appeared. He was like, then they had to fight both of those guys. J-Man says, Kung Fu history lesson. Not so much that, man. I just enjoy the films and I like to talk about them with people who also enjoy them. That's all. There's people that know more than me about these films, but I just, I've invited there's some brothers and sisters out there on Facebook. They got, They got pages talking about Kung Fu movies and actors and stuff. I've invited those folks. They won't come to my live for whatever reason. I don't know. I've invited some brothers off of YouTube to come around to the live, to the shows. I don't know, man. I think that sometimes people get a little hesitant because they don't feel comfortable, if you know what I mean. But see, if you're genuine, that shouldn't really hold you up. If you're not so genuine, I can see it being a problem for you. There's brothers out here right now that if they not watching right now, that they tuned in to see what I was talking about, but they won't never write in the chat. They won't never write in the chat. They don't want to be seen on a LDBC channel. Foolishness. I'm a part of the LDBC because the LDBC played a huge influence in me coming online and starting my own page. And I'll never be dismissive of that. That was all inspiring for me, and that's what where my allegiance is to who inspire me, motivate me, which is a good thing. There were points of my having this knowledge and everything, whether it be talking about boxing or these Kung Fu films or whatever, that was laying dormant. Now understand that since I've started my channel and I'm able to do this and share with you guys, that's a positive thing, isn't it? Very positive. I'm not out here talking about other people and stuff. I'm out here talking about these subjects. My Tuesday Tussle from this past week, I feel like that's one of the best shows I've done. I asked people to share the content, but Rashid Rourke says, I can admit I never tried to remember the actor's name until you, Stormy B. I just called them by their character's name. Well, when you're talking about people from another country, another culture, and you acknowledge them for who they are by their name, you have no idea how much respect you are showing, Rasheed Rourke. You have no idea. That is one of the most honorable things you could do, is try to be respectful and acknowledged by name. Would you not like to be acknowledged by your name if someone foreign were referring to you or referencing you or whatever? It's respect. See, the Western mind doesn't operate like that. That's one of the reasons why we've fallen so far behind as a society in this present modern day world. The egotistical, the arrogance, all of that seem like you put others down. Hey, it comes around. The wheel does turn. I remember I was on my job once, and I spoke to a woman that was from Korea, I believe she was, and she had been in America for like 19 years. And her job was a makeup artist at one of the stores like Carson's or something like that. So I had an interaction with her one day, and I asked her, I said, excuse me, because I saw her name on a page. I had to hand her a piece of mail. And I said, how do you pronounce your name? I said, because as I address you, I want to say it correctly. I don't want to be, rude, and I want to say it correctly. That lady looked at me, and she stepped back. She took her glasses off, and she said, you know what? I've been in this country for 19 years. No one has ever asked me the proper way to say my name. Now, mind you, this woman, she was older than me at the time. This might have been almost 20 years ago. But she's telling me on the spot that no one had ever taken time out to properly address her by her name. In other words, they just read it off a page or whatever and say it however way it come out their mouth. That lady was so nice to me. As long as I worked there in that environment, and I would see these people come home from work or go to work and stuff like that. She was so nice to me the rest of the time that I worked in that environment, because I showed her respect. And in that culture, respect is everything. I never forgot that. So when I deal with people who are from another country, if they're Polish, if they're Mexican, if they're Eastern European or whatever, and their English is so-so, I take the time out and try to communicate with them properly, because it's a show of respect. But they also acknowledge that the respect is there, and they have respect for you, regardless of what they're told when they enter this country about who you are, what you look like, and what's thought of you. Their experience of interacting with you is totally different, especially when you've raised the level of intellectual communicating and things of that nature. It's important. Some things you just can't teach. Yeah. So that's pretty much our hour tonight, man. We've been rolling, and but now it's time to hear from our sponsors. Yeah, that's what's up.
We offer the best grooming products for you. That's all natural and handcrafted too. We wanna help be your swagger, style, class, and luxury. Make our products tailor-made for you with high quality. Yeah. So get in style with the black, yeah. Company, to give you swagger, style, class, and luxury. In luxury, yeah. The black, yeah. Company, give you swagger, style, class, and luxury. In luxury, yeah.
Located at www.theblackgent.com.
Get ready to take your striking game to the next level with the Focus Ball. Dramatically improved footwork, timing, head movement, hand-eye coordination, reflex, and overall fight IQ. It's lightweight and extremely portable, so you can train every time, everywhere. When you don't have a coach to do mitt work, get a Focus Ball. When you don't have a heavy bag to hit, get a Focus Ball. When you don't have a sparring partner, get yourself a Focus Ball. And when you just want to have fun punching and kicking, get a Focus Ball. When you train with the Focus Ball, you train your eyes and your brain to read punches so that you can hit and not get hit, making this very simple device a must-have for all combat sports athletes and enthusiasts alike. So if you want to take your striking game to the next level, don't wait. Get the Focus Ball now.
Yeah. So, we've come to the end of another show, man. It's been a great time with you guys. Jimmy Bernard, appreciate that. Yeah, we do what we do here. We talk about these Kung Fu film joints, man. I'm going to come back with another one, probably another Shaw Brothers film, or not. because there's so many that were made outside of Shaw's. It's easy to sit up and talk about the Shaw's because they had the biggest film library and most films in circulation, the ones that people know the most. But the genre is a heck of a genre, man. And it should be celebrated. So that's one of the things that I try to do when I come out here is just help us revisit and dig those memories up. You know what I mean? It's very important to be able to do that, to hold a little bit of nostalgia, your childhood, or as you were becoming a man, or whatever the case it may have been. You know, your dad took you to see these films, or some kind of male figure in your life introduced you to them. That's what it's all about. Or you were just thumbing through the TV channels on a Sunday or Saturday when Samurai Sunday was on in your area, and you said, man, I like those joints that they show, and you rush home to watch them every weekend. And for a lot of us, that was how it was for us, being introduced to these films. So with that being said, you know, I want to say thank you guys for tuning in with me this evening. Shout out to the mighty LDBC, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace to everybody. Enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend.